All right. The microphone was off, actually. I was sitting here talking to myself for about 2 minutes. Crazy. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Sorry, I have been on a hiatus of some sort. Computers have been acting up. I know this computer is pretty old. It's been 5 years already. I might need an upgrade. So perhaps that's what happened. But yeah, all that stuff. But anyway, and also to been busy at work. We are doing some changes and all that stuff. So and yeah, I kind of get a little bit of trouble, a little bit, just tiny bit. I hope I won't be fired or something. Just a mistake that I think it's a bit overblown, but I have to take care of it. But anyhow, so I've been kind of like depressed a little bit, and on top of that, crypto have not doing, have not been doing pretty well that I expected to do. But hey, that's the nature of markets. I'm not worried about it. I think, with the shakeup of government shutdown and everything, people are just so jittery. And then on top of that, there's no data coming out. I guess, Trump is not going to release the job data because it's going to make him look bad. And I hate this, right? This is the problem with our current political landscape, And of course, with the Epstein file and all that stuff coming out. Crazy, right? Now, you know, uh, I hate to go into this because it's going to be like unrelated to GameStop here. But, in essence, it's kind of like shaking the market up. So pretty much related to GameStop as well, because it's anything to do with the market, right? Um, on top of that, of course, with Trump associating with crypto, if Epstein file come out and there's more damning evidence, right? It seems like this email thing, it's pretty damning. Now, admittedly, if I've known that this email exists before that, shit, I wouldn't be voting for the guy. It's like that's why I'm so mad at that. At the Democrat as well for not releasing it. Like, why? Why are you sitting on this? Like, this is the most important thing. But I feel like I understand why now that they don't want to release it because it have some damning evidence for the other side as well. It makes them both look guilty, like both parties. So, um, again, you know, I don't even know how to say this, but I feel like, with the uh, what is going on right now, the market is going to be shaked up. But there's a light at the end of the tunnel. I think especially for crypto as well. Bitcoin, like I said before, like Bitcoin doesn't need anyone, to promote it. It's gonna be self-promoting by themselves because of what the nature of Bitcoin is, right? Now, I'm just speaking in terms of Bitcoin. I understand that there are, like other crypto play, that are also innovative and all that stuff. But as far as like store of value, saving technology and all that stuff, I think people understand that the government will keep printing, like the debt will never get paid off, right? And every time that they're trying to stimulate the economy, it's going to be trillions, quadrillions, and whatever. So it's always going to be bigger and bigger number, and people just lose sight of what is more important, right? And that's what I'm going to go with GameStop in a minute, because I think GameStop is an important kind of grounding company that people should at least look into. I know, like you have so much controversial stuff that happens 4 or 5 years ago that people are still holding on to that, thinking that GameStop is just a meme stock, a meme company. Ryan Cohen is not, the greatest CEO because the stock doesn't do anything, right? And I think people completely lost what is real anymore. Especially when when you hear trillions and trillions of dollars, people are already been trillionaires, or about to be a trillionaire. People don't realize what it takes to become, that. And I think, Elon, as a, trillionaire, I don't know if anyone deserved to be a trillionaire. Not even a billion, I don't think, because everybody, sure, he has so many companies out there that is around. He's a genius and all that stuff. But really, does anyone deserve to be a trillionaire? Come on, what's next? What's next? Quadrillionaire? Like, it's insane the way that the market is propping themselves up as if like they're the most important thing ever. And let's talk about like OpenAI too. It's like, what the heck? The guy is trying to get, people to spend trillions and trillions of dollars. And then now that the number comes out, and like, how could you possibly get to that valuation? They're like, well, we're too big to fail. So the government has to bail us out, a backstop of some sort. It's like, what the hell? Is that a true, capitalism society that we're actually preaching all along? No. It's not capitalism. That's not true free market capitalism. Just like George Garman, I think that's his name. I might be butchering his name. That's not a true free market capitalism. And we have not had that for decades now, you guys. Like, that's why it's so frustrating, right? But when talking about GameStop as a company that is competing with some stupid number that is just thrown at you, thinking that they're so much more valuable than the company that actually have real value over here, right? And it's such a frustration, for people to talk about it. But anyway, and so my point is that like eventually it's gonna come to a conclusion here that you can't create that value at the moment. Yes, I know, like, people who are into AI and all that stuff, like automation, is going to tell you that, hey, in 30 years it's going to be much bigger than you think. Okay, then 15 years I'll invest in AI, right? Because right now there's no possible way to make it happen in that in that bubble or whatever. Whatever. What am I saying? I'm saying that you cannot possibly earn enough, and then on top of that, who's gonna be the one, that is spending the money in order to, get these companies to be trillions and trillions of dollars, unless we spend what? We have less people on Earth, right? Or we like, if the middle class it doesn't have any money, poor people don't even have money to spend on these machinery. How can you get to that valuation, except for if you have a spying network and all that stuff, spying on every single person? Sure, you could make some sort of claim that you might be the biggest company because every single thing on the planet that's happening, and then you just positioning yourself before that happened. But oftentimes, human behavior is very, very erratic. Like, you cannot predict that. And for people to say that you could predict the human behavior and all that stuff, it's just a system of control of some sort. Like, you cannot predict what people will do, especially collectively, unless you are forcefully, to, a group of people just forced to do that, being forced to do that. And if you learn anything about history, right? The more you suppress people, the more rebellion people are gonna get, because eventually, that's the spirit of humanity. Is that you live under the oppression so long. What happened? You're gonna react the other way, and it's not gonna be good for everyone. Okay. um, but anyway, it's bigger. These issues bigger than my little brain to think about. But as far as like the company goes, guys, I'm gonna call you guys baby. Um, not sure how many people are actually listening right now. I know I'm pretty on edge at the moment because I'm so frustrated at these big companies that it's just like um uh deceiving people, so much so that people just think that they're gonna be able to create $10 trillion in a year, right? When they don't have anything at all right now. I'm not saying that they won't be able to create $10 trillion of economic output. You might be able to, but it's going to take 50 years. Okay? Maybe more. Because like for you to get to $10 trillion, you need to increase, the middle class to that level as well. Because you cannot have somebody who make $2, right, a day, $2 a day, and tell people, oh yeah, you're gonna make $1 trillion from that economy. You can't. It's mathematically impossible unless you take people asset by force. Then okay, yeah, I mean, you just steal it from them. So what is moral anymore? Oh my gosh. And again, this is the problem with our country right now. It's just everybody just up for themselves, and they don't really understand the importance of at least being a moral human being, right? Um, that anything goes. Nobody, is here to create any true value anymore. And I think Ryan Cohen is trying his best, to do what is right, and people are not looking at it, right? And I know, like I'm just rambling right now at the moment. I'm trying to open this up, like I'm actually playing with this Internet Explorer because my Chrome doesn't work. Like I said, my computer is terrible, you guys. Like it's not doing what I want them to do. But anyway, so let's talk a little bit about the institutional ownership of GameStop over here. I know it's gonna be like a podcast. I feel like I don't want to show my screen over here, So I'm in FinTel right now, trying to look up the short interest real quick. I just take a peek at this, short interest. I know people probably have, hold on, am I on? Yeah. Can you imagine after like all this rant and I realize it's not even recorded, which happens before. Okay, so let's talk about the short interest real quick. It's still here, okay? It's still here. 16%. 16% is pretty large for short interest on a company that is making money. Okay. Let me remind people, we do make a lot of money. Okay, yes, whether it's from interest because of the massive cash account that we have, right? Whatever, right? The fact that we generate income from that capital that we have is something. Okay. Currently it's around 4% or so, give or take. So it's still pretty high, right? And the capital that we have right now, because Bitcoin has been coming down, We might be losing about 100 million or so for the next fourth quarter uh, if Bitcoin hasn't come back up above our average, which is 108,000, 108,000 per coin that we bought. So anything below that, it's going to incur a loss. But at the reporting, though, I think we're not like the third quarter reporting coming up right now in December, sorry, will be, I don't think it will incur a loss in terms of Bitcoin holding. Okay. So because it was kind of closing around that price point. So we're good on that one. Now, the issue, not an issue, but like the short term price action of Bitcoin is important within the fourth quarter earnings. Okay, because with this earning, Bitcoin might fall, below the amount in which we bought it, right? Unless we add more Bitcoin onto the balance sheets at that point. I don't know. I just feel like the drop on Bitcoin this past month, it's pretty forceful, and I don't think it's normal. And it's almost seemingly, either the big institutions out there because they are into Bitcoin now, right? Yeah, there's a lot of filing coming, ETFs and all that stuff. They are trying to shake retail out or anyone who wants to sell to them at a low price. And whether they're fearful of their future or whatever, to try to shake retail out as much as possible so that they could send it back up, when they are accumulating and all that stuff. So all of the trick in the back that they have. And so it's normal for me to be like, okay, let me take the opportunity that I have here. Like, there's no reason for any coins to drop 20% in a day unless, some big things is happening. And if it's not, the fault of the code or anything like that, then it's just a price manipulation, right? So that's what I looked at it when it drops. I'm like, okay, let me just take the opportunity to buy. And so I have been kind of, weaning myself off of GameStop for now. I know. I have risked my position on GameStop to go into Bitcoin, not Bitcoin, crypto, because I think that the percentage of growth, because it's been dropping 20%, is a lot higher than Jimmy's gonna be able to do within this past month. Not to say that I am, all of a sudden bearish on GameStop. No, I understand the risk pretty well. That yes, if Jimmy were to blow up tomorrow, I'll be missing out for sure. But as a company, right, I could buy this company anytime. That's my logic, of course, like a very risky logic to have, because I have been holding for quite some time. So, but yeah, so don't do what I do. Make sure you know and make sure you understand the risk that you could, stomach it if GME goes up and then crypto just crashed to zero. Or I am also prepared for that possibility too. Okay. But I don't think crypto is gonna go anywhere, right? Especially the one that I pick anyway. So I'm pretty confident. The XRP spot ETF is coming. Well, it's not really spot yet, but like there's filing of ETFs coming in, so I'm bullish on that one. Obviously, XRP is the big one right now that I'm betting on, and a few smaller coins I miss on Zcash, you guys. Oh my gosh, like Zcash. I did look at it, but I'm like, why didn't I buy more? Or why didn't I start to buy? But years ago when it was like at $2 or whatever, and now it's like freaking $600. Oh man. My life. But anyway, so I was just to focus on the big cap out here, which is XRP and all that stuff. Had I put just half of the XRP, I would have been, would have been retiring right now. Ah, but anyway, whatever. I guess like it's not your time, so it's not my time. Anyway, so back to I know enough about crypto. I know again crypto is so global, and I think that's why the movement is so drastic to the upside and the downside, because a lot of people who invest in crypto doesn't really know anything about crypto, right? And so when the price coming down, they don't have a reason to buy more or double down on their conviction because they don't understand it. And the reason why I'm so bullish on XRP is because the reason that I've told people a million times. I don't talk about XRP that much as GameStop, but I think that the opportunity is massive, right? It's an instant settlement system that is integrated. It seems like, right? They've been working on it, guys, ever since the Jay Clayton, who now is like on the news all of a sudden, right? Like investigating all of that. But he's the one who slapped a lawsuit on XRP, and the reason was unclear because it was kind of like a signal, like why? Right? They didn't have any ICO, which is initial coin offering like Ethereum, but Ethereum got a green light, and come to find out, Jay Clayton was involved in Ethereum base, after he stepped down as a chair, SEC chair, he go to work for, crypto base industry. Like again, like stuff like that, you can't make it up, right? But you could really draw the conclusion, hey, XRP was important enough for them to try to stop it anyway, and put it on the map, right? And I think those lawsuits too. It's probably just trying to stamp in the progress that XRP was trying to do as a instant settlement system that will disrupt the whole world, like of finance here. And so you don't want that. Of course, you don't want retail to to buy into it. So that's why you have like all of this bots who trying to get people like, oh, it's just shitcoin. Why would you want to hold XRP and all that stuff, right? So the same mentality, the same tactic that they're doing, just so that they could study, the actual thing. And now you could see like all of the banks are, realizing, hey, this is the next thing, to upgrade the whole financial system and all that stuff. That's why Bitcoin is coming into to focus here as well. And again, like the whole industry is going to do well, like within the next 10, 15, 20 years from now. And for you not to understand that, you're missing out on on this shift of financial system. But anyway, so get back to GameStop. I know I could talk about crypto all day, in which people might want to listen to other people and not me. Okay, so let's talk about GameStop real quick. I know we've been kind of like at 20s, 22, 21 for quite some time. We know that the price doesn't make any sense and it's been suppressed so bad. But we also know that there's still short, interest that is in this company. I'm trying to look at the institutional ownership actually, because I haven't checked for the past week. Hold on. I think statistic here. Okay, so it used to be 33, right? Remember, I mean, if you go back to my old video, you would see that it was 33. So increasing in institutional ownership has been one of the thesis that I have. And I think when this exceeds 50, right? 50, because here's the thing, like if you look at the other one too, not insider, ownership, institutional, this site gave you a different number, but I think this is including Ryan Cohen and all that stuff too. Okay. So I mean, whichever number you want to go by, just refer to that one. If you want to refer to this one, you know, this is not including insiders, right there, right? If you add it up, you know, you might get into like still a little tiny bit of differences, right? But you know, if the insider plus institutional exceed 50 to 60%, right? You're gonna find out that somebody's going to pump, you know, the narrative, you know, to people, because right now they're just accumulating quietly. You know, why would they want to do it quietly? Because they don't want retail to get in on it before them. Right? It's very simple for like logic. Okay, simple simple logic for you to draw here, because hey, if it's the most important company, right, the company that actually have some asset here that has income coming in, right, and they're selling stuff, they are doing transaction, they are making you know, new ways of revenue coming in, you know, Pokemon card, trading card, all of that is pretty um, self-explanatory in how they make money. The simplest way to do it is to buy low and sell high to someone, right? E-commerce. And then on top of that, you could exploit some you know, people getting addicted to, you know, open up packs. You also already see a lot of channels, YouTube channel that is centric to open up those pack, and then, you know, just, you know, creating that self promotion, you know, because they want to have fun, you know, gambling and all that stuff. And that is pretty I think smart business venture to get into. Not only that, you know, you give people a sense of collectability type thing, where yeah, I gamble $100, now I have something to hold, right? So you overpay a little bit here, but eventually somebody's gonna try to buy it at a higher price, right? A greater fool theory type thing on the Pokemon and all that stuff. But hey, for people who wants to buy those, who rich enough to do that, hey, who am I to tell them not to do that? But if you are, you know, the type that are, you know, cannot stop yourself gambling and all that stuff, don't. It's pretty dangerous, right? It could be dangerous, because gambling addiction is not something to scoff at. Okay. But if you do it for fun, if you do it, you're not putting your family at risk for, you know, the debt that is occurring because you're gambling on this and not, no, that's not worth it, right? But nonetheless, the company's gonna make money. So, although, you know, that's just the economy that we're in right now, and you know, it's a gambling economy for sure. You know, you have way too many people who have way too much time in their hand, and earning way too much money for sure. Right? That's why, you know, you see a lot of people just opening up $1,000 card. I saw a video of a guy who opened up a $1,000 pack and just, you know, nonchalantly just open up like crazy. So again, that's gonna hit the bottom line for sure. I don't know, you know, how the revenue structure is like, because uh, that website hasn't been full on, uh, you know, living and breathing website, because I think they don't have enough inventory um, to absorb that, because people are just like going nuts on that. So, I mean, it's a good problem to have. It's not. Um, so now you just have to create that loop, selling raw card and getting people the ability to buy and sell and all that stuff. So the middleman, I'm sure, business model is pretty self-explanatory. So eventually people are going to be like, it's no brainer. Why am I missing this? Right. But they don't say that yet until they're, who's they? It's the institution. It's people who are, able to pull a wool over your eyes to see something else rather than the most important company. I think GME is going to be the most important company moving forward in the e-commerce space anyway, right? Just much like Amazon, but a better version of Amazon, where, yeah, maybe a smart way of, distributing, uh, um, I guess, um, creating value. There you go. Creating real value from, economic output and input from selling, buying, and all that stuff, right? Buying the right time, sell the right time, and all that stuff. And yeah, creating a community of people who want your items. Like, isn't that why Apple become the Apple, right? You create iPhone that people go nuts about, right? So there you go. That's what happened. You have an item that people go crazy for, and they just go to your store to buy it. They wait online to buy it. They wait hours and hours. Sometimes people wait overnight just to be the first in line. I mean, come on. Right? What not to love about this company? Yeah. So that's the value that we're talking about here. And of course, the debt to equity here, it's a little bit higher than it used to because of the 0% debt. I have to make sure that people realize that it's 0%. Um, yes, we could no longer say it's debt free, even though we still have debt, but it's at 0%. That's technically free money. Okay. Now, I know people are going to be like, well, without that debt, they are only going to be of $6 billion market cap, they only have $6 billion because after that, whatever, after that debt, $4 billion, right? Yeah. So, uh, what is it, net cash position or whatever people were talking about. But again, guys, to me, that explosion move, I don't know when it's gonna happen. I expect it to happen anytime, but I wouldn't hold my breath for that. Um, it's simply because it's just so like obviously suppressed, right? And it's the best way, to get you to be so bored at something that you should be buying and holding for a long time. See what I mean? So, and then one day it just happened. You're just like, oh, what happened? Why am I millions of dollars? And again, this is how the game is played. So know the game and don't be frustrated. I know, at times when I look at my portfolio, I'm like, why is it not doing this and this and this? Like, markets, you guys, people are erratic, and people are easily manipulated into doing something. And people don't have the patience, right? And so, just take it after Warren Buffett. That's why I bring him up all the time. And I'm sure Ryan Cohen is adopting the same strategy here because he have time to wait. Yes, he's a billionaire. I get it. But at least he is, trying to create something out of, you know, creating a company that is worth holding. And this is his legacy, and he wants it to be long lasting. Okay. So that's the CEO that you want. You don't want somebody who's just flashy and then it's just like, oh, I could spend the next, $10 trillion and then just go around and do some financial bullshit, that costs people so much money, and then when it doesn't work, you go to the government. You're like, oh yeah, government's gonna backstop this, and just like, what value did you create? Nothing. It's just words, you guys. Like, it's a power of manipulating. I'm telling you, if you could manipulate people, you could be rich. For sure. It's so disgusting to me, honestly. People like that should not be elevated. But man, like, we have a world of just sycophant at the moment. Anyone who have billions after them, right? They're just like sycophanting. Doesn't matter what happened, to the moral landscape of these people. People are just like, oh, he's a billionaire, therefore he's probably smart. It's like, stupid. No, no. There's ways to make billions without screwing people over. Okay? And so, and that's what Ryan Cohen is trying to demonstrate here. And, I know Ryan Cohen is a billionaire, but he did that, building a company that people love, right? So I love that, right? Now, if Ryan Cohen start to, promise, overpromise, and underdeliver every time, then yeah, I might change my mind about the company, right? About the guy, about the, moral of everything, right? But yeah, you live in the world, right? That says if you go broke, you go broke type thing. Of course, that's the reason why that's why people just like throw the morality out of the table, out of the window, out of the window, and expect people to be like, oh yeah, that this is just shrewd business, method or whatever, right? Nah, I don't like the sleaziness of these company, and I'm talking about OpenAI. Yeah, I think people know that. It's my describing it, but I know, like, again, as a CEO, right? You go in front of people, try to raise money and all that stuff. I get that, but when you go around and just over promising and really show disregard for people, and on top of that, if you're failing, you're asking people to bail you out, and then on top of that, when you get profit, what do? You just keep it for yourself. Is that like an economy that anyone want to have? Like, no, because then you create a generation of just kiss asser, right? People are just kissing people's ass just to get to where they are. Nah, and no wonder. Where do you think the country's gonna go into? It's just gonna go into a dark, dark place, you guys. And eventually, it's like you get a group of terrible human beings, ruling over people who are trying to do the right thing. Right? I mean, sorry, you guys, like, a lot had happened, The news cycle. I know, like, I shouldn't be listening to the news cycle. Sometimes, like, I get pissed off. It's okay. I think, look, I know. Like, let me just draw back, okay? Let me just be a little bit optimistic, okay, about the company, about the future of the investment here. I'm telling you, the liquidity crunch is going to be over. Jerome Powell has talked about lowering the rate, okay, already, unless he's backing out. And I don't see a reason why he would be backing out now because of the job market. It's doing terribly wrong, in the wrong direction. And for whatever reason, the inflation is not going to be under 2, so just be prepared for that. When they say, oh, inflation is 2%, it's probably more like 7%. So if they tell you that inflation is 3%, then it's probably more like 12. Okay. So yeah, be prepared for that one. So how do you prepare for that? Well, I don't know. I mean, Bitcoin is pretty important right now. A good conversation to have is why Bitcoin is so important in that arena. In the inflationary environment, asset like Bitcoin, gold, silver. That's why it's been going crazy, right? I mean, no, not Bitcoin, but I know that Bitcoin is going to follow gold at some point. So I have no doubt on that. Okay, when you have a defined, limited supply, eventually it's gonna seep into everybody's consciousness. Like it hits the escape velocity already. You don't ignore an asset that is worth $1 trillion. Now it's close to 3 trillion. Okay. Well, not really, not under 2 trillion, but it's over $1 trillion. But well, when it goes to a higher price, right? It's gonna be 3 trillion, but it's gonna compete with gold, and since gold been going crazy, Bitcoin's gonna be like at least half of gold with the next 10 years, and then moving forward too. And then on top of that, you have the government just keep printing, just keep, overspend on whatever. Now we have war in Venezuela. What the hell? Like what? It's crazy, right? They need to find ways to spend the money. And the way that they do that is to create more resources and just, again, go wreak havoc around the world. That's the problem with empire, right? Rather than building a long, stable life for the country that they are collecting tax for, they use that to, spread themselves thin. And it's terrible for everyone, right? That's how great empire fall. Okay, so I'm not saying we're gonna fall like in 10 minutes here. I'm saying that eventually something is going to give. But I think that's why Bitcoin is such a important, at least an important thing to start to study about. And yeah, get serious. I know people think that Michael Saylor sold Bitcoin. He said that's not true, and he's been buying the past week, and he's gonna announce it Monday. So we'll see. I mean, why would anyone lie about that? Well, because they want you to sell Bitcoin, stupid. Yeah, like people get very scared very easily when it comes to money, and these people know that. And all you have to do is just send these bots out to convince you, to do something to your asset, do something to your portfolio, because they want to buy it from you at a lower price because you're scared. And then what happened? The minute you sell it to them, they mark up the price. Trick as old as time. Okay? So just, that's why, like, when you buy into something, make sure you understand it. Okay? Understand the risk and whatever. Like, the risk of buying Bitcoin, right, is the volatility of it. Okay? Now, if you use the volatility as your friend and buy consistently, you'll be okay, right? The problem is that people just go all in with everything that they got at one point, and then when it dropped, right, it pains. It creates that mental pain, mental discomfort, because they're like, oh, I should have waited, right? Like they always said that. They always elicit that. Believe me, I feel it too. I feel it the past week. Okay. So no worry. You're among friends here if you feel that way. But I also understand my emotion as well. It's not the fact. Okay. Sometimes, I think that it's going to go up from here and it doesn't. But that doesn't mean that I'm wrong. I'm wrong that moment in time. But, if you think of it as a 10 years time horizon, then you're thinking about it in a different terms. Remember, Warren Buffett says, when he buy into something, he's not buying into the stock or the price action of something. He's buying into the company. He's buying into, the actual machine that makes money. Okay? The stock is just a reflection of, people emotion on the company itself when it's, posting loss, posting gain, posting, whatever news that comes along with that particular company. Okay? Now, there's such thing as overvalue and undervalue. And people have different opinion on different things. I know people still think that Palantir is the greatest company of all time, right? Even the CEO try to, go around telling people that it's the best thing ever. But does it live up to their, to his expectation or whatever? I mean, the number doesn't show that right now at the moment. And so, again, mathematically, at the moment, it's not. Okay. I'm not saying it won't be in the next 20 years, but in 20 years, it will get to the valuation that people are giving now. Does that make sense? So that's what the bubble is trying to, Michael's, what's it? Michael, I forgot, the Big Short guy. I'm sure you guys, Burry. Yeah, Michael Burry. So that's why he's been shorting those two companies. Hey, who am I to say? I think he's smart, and I think it's long overdue. I think Palantir has been running way too quickly, and it's almost seemingly like it's a manipulation on the upside too, because somebody hold a whole bunch of that, and they want to exit out. And not to say, I'm sure retailers chasing that too. I wouldn't be surprised if some of the fund manager try to spike the price up like that. Yeah, but anyway, I think that's all I have. Oh my gosh, I'm just like blank right now. I feel like I'm hungry. That's probably why. Like I should go eat. Yeah. So, all right, guys. I think I will let you guys go. I don't know. I don't even know how many people are actually listening here. But yeah, thank you so much for joining. I don't put up the chat. I couldn't get it up here because it's like a different look. My Chrome's not working, so I'm like, that's why I'm not showing, the. Oh, it's actually working now. Okay, it's too late. Maybe next time. I've been trying to open this Chrome thing. Let me try. But anyway, while I'm trying, I will let you guys go. Like I said, thank you, and just be careful. I'll give you more update if I ever come back to GameStop. I'm hoping that it will stay here before crypto explode. But I will eventually shaving some of my crypto position to go back. And I have my share in mind that I wanted to hit, but unfortunately, I'm out of it for now. And hopefully Hopefully I will come back soon. I know I broke my promise to myself to hold forever until the end of time. But man, I know the opportunity in crypto is just way too much for me to ignore. But yeah, that's my reason. And yeah, I'll come back.